Welcome to the 6th episode of the Eldenwood Craft Podcast. My name's Emma and this is a podcast all about my crafty life. Today it's Friday the 31st of March. I have a day off today from my day job, so I thought I would take the opportunity to come and say hello to you. So, hello! Thank you to all returning viewers. Thank you also, a massive hello to any new viewers that are watching me today for the first time. And also thank you to everybody who's left comments down below. I do like to know what you think about the projects that I'm making and to hear from you. So it's always lovely to get a comment. So thank you. Where you will, sorry, I feel really out of practice with this. Where you'll find me online, well, I'm basically Eldenwood Craft everywhere. Primarily you'll find me on Instagram, which is where I post updates about all my projects, and my Etsy shop, which is Eldenwood Craft, and I sell project bags there. But I'm also online, you'll also find me on Ravelry. And you'll see all the details of all the projects that I'm making on there, and I'm Eldenwood Craft there. And I have a Facebook page, an Eldenwood Craft Facebook page, an Eldenwood Craft Pinterest page. Where else am I? I've made some notes today because I feel that out of practice. Oh yes, of course, I've got a website, eldenwoodcraft.co.uk. And there you will find show notes for today's episode and all previous episodes. What else do I put on there? Shop update news, and every now and then a little blog post about what I've been up to. So basically Eldenwood Craft everywhere. All the links to all those places will be in the down bar below and also on eldenwoodcraft.co.uk. So do come and say hello on your social media outlet of choice. If you like what you see today, then please do give me the thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss out on any future episodes, then hit the subscribe button. Both of those are down below. Right, what will I be talking about today? Well, I'm surrounded by a huge pile of bits and pieces. I'll be starting off with finished objects. I will be moving on to works in progress, future knitting plans, and then finishing off with some treats that have come my way. So I think we will get going. Oh, I just want to say, it's been such a lovely few days in the UK. I was really looking forward to being able to podcast today. I thought, I'll have a lovely, bright, sunny day, and it'll fill the room with light. It's so grey. It's about to rain, I think. I've had to put the overhead light on. I'm really sorry about that. But I was going to podcast today, come what may. So you'll just have to make do with the slightly orange glow over my head. Okay, so let's get cracking with what you've come to see, and we'll start off with some finished objects. I've got a couple of those for you today. Oops. The first one is a pair of socks. You saw these in the previous episode. They are my Arnie and Carlos Summer Night socks, and here they are. I absolutely love this colourway. It's without a doubt my favourite of the Arnie and Carlos design line ranges. It's a Regia yarn, 4-ply. There's the two of them. You can see it's a short sock. I cast on, that's a bit of fluff. Cast on 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles. I did about 15 rows in a 2x1 rib for the cuff, and then I don't know how many rows that was. I think that was probably about 15 or 20 for the leg, and then I used Mina Phillips' vanilla sock pattern for this sock because I wanted to try out her mini heel flap and heel pattern. I've been finding that like many people, the instep was quite tight when I knit either a Fish Lips Kiss heel, or an Afterthought heel, or a short row heel, and I thought that Mina's mini heel flap would help combat that, and it has kind of. I think I need to do a little bit of work on it, but it's certainly better than it was, so I would definitely use that again if I were to do a short row type heel. But I have to say, I think all the different types of heels that I've been knitting recently, I think I can safely say that the best fitting heel for me is definitely a heel flap and gusset. That just seems to work better for my foot shape. But I will try this again. And then I knit down to the foot, and I tried the Whirlwind toe. You can just sort of see the decreases there, and I think they're there on the other side as well. I don't think I'll use this toe again. It doesn't fit with my toes. I prefer the rounded toe. But yeah, it's a really nice sock. I will definitely use this range again, this colourway again. Definitely my colours. Yeah, so there we are. Really like those. Pop those down there. Going to clatter, I think. Okay, the other finished object that I have is sitting around my neck. It's my Spark of Grey shawl. I think from memory this shawl has been on my needles since I started podcasting, which was probably November time last year, I think. So it's taken quite a while. I have really enjoyed the knit. I love the finished product, the finished item. I love the colours, I love the yarn, I love the pattern. It just took a long time. But I will show you that around my neck, and then I will untie it and show you what it looks like. I don't know how much you'll see. It's a bit creased now, it's been around my neck. But yeah, it's nice and long. It's definitely wingspan. And if I just show you the stitch pattern, because it is absolutely beautiful. No, that's just so pretty. It's made up of sort of slip stitches and gosh, I can't remember now. Yeah, really lovely. The yarn is Kettle Yarn Co. Baskerville in the Dawn and the Eventide colourways. I think the Dawn, I always get this mixed up, but I'm sure that the Dawn is the blue and the Eventide is the grey. So I had 100 grams skein of each, and I've got about 30 grams left, so I could have made it a bit bigger actually, but I think it's fine as it is. It blocked out quite a nice size. I didn't do the ribbed border as deep as the pattern suggests. Just don't really enjoy doing ribs, as I've said before. But I think that the depth that I've given it is absolutely fine. I could probably block that border out a bit better as well. It's a bit frilly. But I'm really pleased with it. I haven't worn it out as yet. Today is its first outing. I was weaving in the ends this morning at about 5 o'clock. I am not sleeping fantastically well at the moment. I wake up about between 4 and 5 o'clock most mornings, which is annoying, but it is great knitting time. So this morning I was weaving in those ends with a cup of tea and a podcast, and it was actually rather lovely to be finishing that off. I finished knitting it a couple of weeks ago, blocked it either last weekend or the weekend before. So now it is a proper finished object. Just pop it around my shoulders like that. I don't know. Anyway, so I normally wear my shawls tied, as you saw at the beginning, so wrapped round and tied. I don't tend to like them hanging like this, but for the rest of today, this is how it will be. So those are my finished objects. Anything else to say on that? I don't think so. I've got my show notes down here. So on to whips, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things to show you today. I've lost something. I did that last time, didn't I? I think it might be, yeah, here it is. I'm going to start with my socks, my sock project. This is sitting in a new bag that I have acquired in the last month from the very lovely Ellie Jones of Craft House Magic. Ellie makes really lovely bags, and I particularly was keen to pick up this what are my hairs? Sorry, I was keen to pick up this knit stitch pattern when I saw it on an announcement on Instagram about a shop update, and I was lucky. So anyway, my Mercury socks, they are coming towards a conclusion, I think. Let me show you this one. I think when I last showed these, I still hadn't reached the heel, I think. I'm now well beyond the heel. I'm just, let me wind this ball up, and then I'll show it to you. So, first one, as you can see, I have knit the heel, done the gusset decreases, and I'm well down the foot. The yarn is from Molly of a Homespun House. It's her, is her tag? It's her Olsen fingering, which is a 75% superwash BFL, 25% nylon, sock yarn, 400 meters, 438 yards, and it's her Half-Blood Prince colourway. It's really, really lovely. If I show you the cuff, you can see it looks to be a, well, it is a grey with purple and teal speckles, different shades of purple, different shades or teal, and different shades of blue speckles. It's really nice. I believe it's the first BFL that I've knit with, and I really like the yarn. It feels very sturdy compared to a merino, although merino is of course lovely. So yeah, so that's the first sock, and the second one is here, about the same way. Push the needles up. Yeah, about the same can't get my words out. I'm about the same distance down the foot, I think is what I was trying to say on this one. So I'm knitting them concurrently. That's the way I prefer to knit my socks now, I've decided. They seem to not quite fly by, but certainly see progress on a pair, which is nice. I have also decided that DPNs are my preferred needle of choice for socks. I had said in a previous episode that I didn't really have a preference. The more I knit on socks, the more I prefer DPNs, and I've also started knitting on 2.25 needles rather than 2.5, and I think that's just experience, isn't it? You tend to sort of find your groove with socks the more that you knit them. So yeah, it's a really lovely project. The pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry. I can't remember the name of, is it Kim Drotar? I can't remember the name, I'm sorry, but I'll put the details in the show notes and on screen. But it's a free pattern. It's a really easy to memorise pattern. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 row repeat, and you get this just beautiful beautiful lacy pattern, which you can just about see there. So I suspect that by the time I podcast again, they will be a finished item. Is there anything more to tell you on those? I don't think so. They're the only pair of socks I've got on the go at the moment, so I need to find another sock pattern to cast on when those are finished. Not sock pattern, but another sock. Yeah, another sock to cast on. I think I fancy a plainer, more vanilla type sock, given the pattern in that one. Right, so those are my socks. The other thing that I've been knitting on a lot recently is my Hollows shawl, which is a pattern by Melody of Bee Mandarines podcast. Just get it out of my bag. I've got the pattern here. I'll see. I think there's a picture on here to show you. Yeah, it's in black and white. It's not fantastic. But you get the idea. It's a long, drapey shawl. Knitting it in the recommended yarn, actually. I think it's probably the first time I've knit a pattern in the yarn that's recommended by the designer. And as you can see, it's the Blacker Swan Falkland Islands wool, 4-ply. I thought it was DK. 4-ply. It's a merino with Shetland, and the colourway is Pale Maiden. These are 50-gram balls, and you get 175 metres or 190 yards. It's beautiful colour. It's a very sort of pale grey, off-white colour. The yarn is incredibly buttery and soft. I really, really like it. I've never knit with this before. I will definitely knit with it again. It's very, very squishable, very wearable next to the skin. Very nice indeed. And I think I bought six of these to make the shawl. And I am on to the second of ball, and this is the progress that has been made so far. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show you, but you will get the idea of what the pattern is going to look like. There's the middle point. Yeah, the pattern is rather bunched up on the needles at the moment, but you can see it's a series of pearls or stocking stitch and garter with some eyelets, and then now I have reached the first short row section. So it creates the idea of the pattern. If you saw from the picture, it creates a sort of wave effect in the middle of the shawl. It's going to be lovely and long, so it'll be nice to wrap around. It's definitely a winter shawl, because that yarn is so warm and squishy. But yeah, really enjoying working on it. I have made a mistake. Sorry for the knocking of the needles on the table. I made a mistake with my row counting. I didn't do enough repeats in one of these sections, I think. So my stitch count was out when I got to the short row section. What I did was I fudged it a little bit. I added an extra repeat or two above this eyelet section. It's not supposed to have this pearl bump row, not pearl bump row, this garter row. But I think it'll be fine. Once the whole thing is knit up, I don't think you'll really notice it. I'm hoping you won't. But I wasn't going to frog back. I wasn't that bothered. So that's the hollow shawl that I've been working on. Where is it? The next work in progress. I wasn't going to show this to you today, but I thought I would. It's in my big sheep bag, which I've got a couple of these made up actually to go in the shop very soon. but I'm keeping my blanket in mind. This is one that that didn't quite work out. The zip went a bit wrong, and I'm sure if there are any other project bag makers watching, you know that you get to keep all the failures, don't you? So I have my own sheet bag. It is a failure, but it still works very well. And what I do with this, it's got 3 internal pockets. I keep my needles in one, I keep my little box of notions that I use for my blanket in the middle one, and I keep my upcoming, wobbling the table, keep my upcoming minis that I'm going to knit in the other pocket. And then in the main body of the bag I keep some unwound or unballed up minis, and I keep my blanket. So it's a really good size. That's going to take this blanket through, probably for my size of blanket that I'm knitting, through to the conclusion of the blanket. But anyway, here it is, and I thought I would just show you it today because I've got to the end of, I was knitting on this bottom row here that you can see, and I've reached the end. That was something else that I did this morning at 6 o'clock, I think it was. It's a great time to knit. There's peace, quiet, cup of tea, knitting. It's lovely. So yeah, so I'm it's making progress. Some lovely minis in here. This is a kind of my pink end of the blanket. Somebody asked me how I do my squares. There are lots and lots and lots of patterns and recipes online, freely available on Ravelry and on people's blogs, so you can very easily find a blanket pattern. But I thought I would just show you or tell you what my sort of sizing is and how I do mine. So I cast on 40 stitches, and I do a knit 2 together, slip slip knit, decrease on the front side, on the right side, and then knit across on the wrong side, and that gives you that decrease down the middle. If I were to knit this again, I would cast on a slightly bigger square, and I would cast on an odd number of stitches, so I could do a central double decrease instead of the knit 2 together, slip slip knit, decrease. I just think that looks a little bit neater, a little bit nicer, but I'm really happy with this. Slow progress, of course. It's I won't say a lifelong project. I think that would be pushing it some, but it's certainly going to take many months to complete, but I don't mind, because it's the sort of project you can just pick up of an evening when you just fancy a little 20-minute knit, and you've got a square done. Did I have anything to say on that? I don't think so. I'm knitting it with a 2.5mm needle. Okay, so that's that one. My other knitting whips are very much hiding this month. On my colouring cardigan, I have, last time I podcast you saw that I'd split for the sleeves and I'd done about that much of the body. I've done a little bit more, but not very much more. I basically got to the end of the ball of yarn that I was using, and I haven't balled up the next skein of yarn, so that really has been in hibernation for most of the month. And yeah, the other whips that I've got that you will have seen throughout the previous episodes haven't had any work done on them. What I have been doing though is something that I've not shown you before, and it's not knitting related, it's over here, and it's a bit of cross stitch, and I thought I would show this to you because it is a podcast about my crafting life, not just my knitting life. And it's this. I hope this will show up. Oh, I love this. I hadn't I hadn't picked this up for a good few months, I think, and I just picked it up again this week. I sort of found it in my craft room as I was having a bit of tidying. I thought, oh, I'll just sit down and have a stitch away on that, and I got hooked again. So as you can probably tell, it's a cross stitch of New York City. We went to New York as a family 2 Easters ago and just had the best time. We were there for Easter weekend. I think we arrived on the Thursday, stayed in central Manhattan, and flew back Monday or Tuesday. I think it was probably the Tuesday after Easter. So we had a good few days there and we did all the usual sorts of things. I'd been before once, but it was just one of those family holidays that was just fantastic, and we quite often sit and reminisce about it. It's lovely, and we will definitely go back. I'm hoping to go back for my 50th in a couple of years. But anyway, we bought this. Myself and my daughter decided that we would do a New York cross stitch when we came back. We'd seen the city scenes on an Etsy seller's shop, an Etsy shop by the name of Satsuma Street. She does fantastic cross stitch scenes of various cities around the world. She's got a London one, a Paris one, New York, San Francisco, Hong Kong. I think she might have Moscow, maybe some others, I'm not sure. And they're so well thought out. You get basically a small area like this, packed full of all the iconic buildings and scenes in each city, fully charted and so on, and the thread colour details are all given. Show you the detail on it. It's not beautifully stitched. It's the first time I've ever really done cross stitch, but it's all right. Made a few mistakes, but I can live with them. I love those little yellow taxis. I think they're fantastic, and just the detail that I can't remember the name of the lady who designed them, but the lady who owns Satsuma Street, she's just picked up some fantastic detail. Even the different colour of the trees there, that lamppost. So I'm working on this bit at the moment. I started off up here, but actually I should have been a bit more sort of sensible about it and worked in sections. But yeah, I really like that. Again, that's going to take a long time. It's a long-term project, but really good fun. I'd like to have a little series. Oh, Sydney is another one she's got. But I'd like to have a series of all the places that I've been to on my wall. I think that would look really good. So yeah, once this is finished, it'll definitely get framed and go on a wall somewhere. And then I'll start with Sydney. We went to Australia on our honeymoon many years ago. I could do London, of course, Paris. I think she's done Barcelona as well. Not sure, maybe I'm imagining that. Anyway, so that's my cross stitch project. I don't think you need to see the box that I'm keeping all my bits and pieces in. Put that over there. Yeah, so that's all my whips. Sort my hair out. So future knitting plans. Last time I podcast, I mentioned that I really wanted to cast on the Vertices Unite shawl, and I had actually fully expected that I would do that by the time I podcast again, but I haven't, as you will have seen. I have, however, chosen my colours, and they are here in front of me. I thought I would show those to you, if I'm not wobbling the table too much. It's going to be very much a neutrals based shawl with a little pop of colour. So the neutrals that I've chosen are these. So grey, 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 and a very pale beige. And then added to that is going to be this pop of colour. I think that in combination will create a very nice shawl. Very me the colours. The yarns that I'm using, mixture of commercially available and indie dyer. So four knit picks. So I'm using this Capretta, and then these knit pick stroll tweeds. That's a nice combination in itself, isn't it? So these are the stroll tweeds, sock weight yarn, 4-ply yarn, and then I thought I would also use one of my Nora George skeins. This is Dumbledore's Army. This is a beautiful grey with speckles in it. I didn't want it to be a completely commercially available yarn shawl, if that makes sense. So yeah, I thought it would be nice to have one of my special skeins in, because I'm hoping this is going to be a shawl that I absolutely love. So not cast on yet, but will be very soon. I'd said to myself that once I had got a good way into the hollow shawl, then I would allow myself to cast on the Vertices Unite. So I think I'm a good way in now. I'm probably about 30% of the way through, and I think that's a good enough spot to allow myself a new cast on. So so yeah, that's my future knitting plans. As I said, I'll also need a new sock to cast on very soon, but you will see that next time, I hope. Right, treats. I've got a lovely basket full of treats here. It seems to have been rather an extravagant month, although I have to say that most of what I'm going to show you I did not purchase. They were swaps that I did with a couple of people. The first one, I hope I can move this without wobbling the table. The first one was a swap that was run over the Edinburgh Yarn Festival weekend. I sadly did not go to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I know many of you did, and many of you have podcast about it, and I'm hugely jealous and will make great efforts to go next year. It looks like you all had an absolutely amazing time, both at the festival itself and socially around the festival. So really pleased that you all enjoyed yourselves, and hopefully see some of you there next year. But for those of us poor souls who were not able to go this year, there was a swap on Instagram called, I think it was called the I'm Not Going to EYF swap, something like that. And we were paired up with another poor soul who was not able to go to Edinburgh, and we swapped some yarn with each other. So we had a little Edinburgh Yarn Festival haul for ourselves, and I had the joy of being paired up with the lovely Martha, who was from Scotland, not a million miles away from Edinburgh. So hello Martha, I don't know if you watch this, but if you do, hello, and thank you for being my partner. You sent me some absolute beauties. Let me show you them all together because they create quite a colourful picture. So lots of purples and pinks and this white. Really lovely yarns. I was particularly taken by two of the, or three of the five. This is a Drops Alpaca Silk, and it's got a beautiful halo. Can you see that? It's incredibly soft. I've never knit with this yarn. It's really next to skin soft. I don't know what I'll knit with it, but I think it's going to make something really lovely for next winter. I think it will make some really nice gloves, actually. It's so smooshily soft. And the other pink one that she sent me was this beautiful alpaca silk 4-ply from Artisano. Now, as you know, I'm not normally a pink girl, but actually this is very muted and dusky, and I think that's really, really pretty. And what I thought it would be, I thought it would be really nice as a border on a dark grey shawl. I've got a dark grey here from my Vertices Unite yarns. I think that might work. or maybe a lighter grey. Anyway, that will make a really lovely, again, really lovely next to skin item. Got my hair on it. So thank you so much, Martha. I really love those. I was really pleased to get those in the post. I'm going to pop these down here. And then the other swap that I did, I was contacted by Amy of the fabulous Stranded Dye Works yarn dyeing shop. You may well know her through her podcast as well. Amy's fantastic. She's definitely one of my favourite podcasters. I look forward to her episodes when they come out each week. And Amy, as you may or may not know, dyes her own yarn, and she contacted me and said, did I fancy doing a swap? She'd like one of my bags, and of course I said absolutely, I would love to. So Amy sent me it's these 3 absolutely stunning yarns that she had dyed up. And I'll take you through each of them. So on her Oasis base, this is her Industrial Kingfisher. It's one of the most amazing skeins of yarn that I have ever seen. I feel really privileged to own it. Look at the blues in there. Oh, I have no idea what it's going to be, but I absolutely adore this, Amy. Thank you so much. I want to knit it up, but I don't want to knit it up because I just love looking at it. Those blues are just beautiful. Oh, I love it. The other is this the other on her Oasis base is this Fleet Street, which again, it's really subtle. It's got some speckles in, but I don't know if you can tell in this light, but there's some pops of sort of neon-y yellowy greeny colour. Makes it really interesting. And there's also some pinks in there. Really interesting. Thank you, Amy. I love this. Again, I don't know what it's going to be. I just want to sit and look at it for a bit. But really beautiful. Be really interested to see how this knits up. And then for a bit of luxury, this was just amazing. Oh, tag's coming off. Amy also sent me on her Paradise base, which is an MCN, Merino Cashmere Nylon, her Eraser colourway. And this is a very neutral with pops of this dark. I'm not sure if it's black. I don't think it's black. I think it might be black. But just very occasional speckles on there, and it's just, oh, it's just to die for. That's definitely going around my neck in some shape or form. I think that might make a really nice cowl actually. So thank you so much, Amy. I absolutely loved doing that swap with you. It was a real pleasure. In return, I sent Amy a bag for herself, and I also sent her a bag for her podcast. And if you don't know, Amy is currently running a I forget what it's called, but it's along the themes of a knit British cowl. So you can knit with British yarn. All the details are on Amy's podcast. And one of the bags that I sent her is a prize for that. So head on over. I'm going to really try, I know I'm rubbish at cowls, but I'm going to really try and enter that and knit something with some British yarn, because I obviously have a nice lot of it to use up. The other yarns that I have bought since I last podcast was from the Australian dyer Circus Tonic Handmade, and this is her Revelry sock fingering 4-ply base. It's 80% Australian superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it's the Pacific Pacific Baza colourway. I'm not sure if I've got that right. But again, it's just an amazing skein of yarn. Greys and russet colours and blues, and just me, and I just love it. Don't often buy indie dyed yarn from overseas just because of the cost of postage, but I've been eyeing up the Circus Tonic handmade shop for many months, and I particularly was taken with the shop because a lot of the yarns are dyed, and the influence that Hannah takes is from the colour of native Australian birds. And you know my love of birds, so I thought that's what first attracted me to Hannah's shop, and I thought the time had come to treat myself to one of her beautiful yarns. So yeah, really pleased with that. And then finally, in the treat section, I treated myself to some commercial yarn just to stock up on sock yarn. I will run through these really quickly. Got a couple of balls of the Bergère de France Gumi 50 in the Imprim beige colourway. I'd seen this a lot on Instagram and in people's podcasts, and I really liked it. It knits up really prettily, so I thought I'd have a couple of skeins of those. I also treated myself to some Cascade Heritage prints. This is in the, it doesn't say on here, it's in a coastal themed colourway name. I can't remember if it's something like Beachcomber, something like that. So yeah, so that's going to knit up into a nice pair of socks. From Knit Picks, finally, a couple of skeins of the Felici in the Chickadee colour. If you know Felici, you know how soft it is and how nice this knits up with the striping, so looking forward to that. Sorry, I've just got a message on my phone. So that is it for the treat section. That just leaves me to talk about a couple of other little things. A couple of podcasts I wanted to mention. The first one is the Knitterarium podcast. The lovely Ruth from Ireland. Ruth is a shawl designer. She's on Instagram as Knitterarium and has the Knitterarium podcast. And I'm speaking about her because I've given one of my bags to Ruth for a giveaway for a cowl that she's currently running. It's a year-long cowl that's split into 6 2-month segments, and my bag and some yarn from Eden Cottage Yarns is the prize for the March and April section of the cowl. And the cowl basically is you need to knit one of Ruth's shawls during the month, and the month has a theme, and the March-April theme is Believe in Your Dreams. So Ruth asked me if I would answer some questions to give podcast watchers a bit of background about me. I was a little bit shy about doing it at first, but I got into the spirit of it, and it was all written. It wasn't done face to face or anything. But I answer the questions, and if you watch Ruth's episode 12, you will find out a little bit more about me, sort of my motivations and what my dreams are. So I thought I would just pop that into mention that. And the other podcast that I wanted to mention is a new to me podcast that I discovered this month by another British podcaster, Ali of the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. I'll put the details down here. Ali is based in southeast England, like I am, and she's a knitter and a crocheter, and just a really lovely, down to earth podcaster, and I really look forward to her podcast coming out. So I thought I would give Ali a bit of a mention. Hello, Ali. I know you've recently started to watch me as well. And then last but not least, just a little mention about my Etsy shop. As I mentioned, I've got a couple of the sheep bags to go into the shop very soon. I have mentioned on Instagram, and I think I have a post on my website about this. Apologies if I haven't, but I have taken the decision to, for the moment, to not accept custom orders. I'm really sorry. Simply, I mean, I absolutely love the fact that custom orders are so popular, and I love doing them, but they have just taken up so much of my available sewing time, and I haven't been able to keep any stock in the shop, and I really want to be able to do that. So I've taken the decision for the immediate future anyway to not do custom orders, but to spend my time doing shop stock, in the hope that more of you who do want project bags will be able to get them. I know a lot of you are disappointed at shop update time, and the other thing that I've decided to do is not to do big updates, and not to announce them in advance, or not to announce when I'm updating my shop in advance, but just to pop bags in the shop as and when I have a few to go in. And by doing that, I really hope that those of you who want to get a bag are able to pop by and find something in the shop that you like. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to custom orders, and I'll sort of very much play it by ear. It's very much a fluid situation, but it's I've got to the stage in my shop development where I need to try and work out how to do things a little bit better. So thank you for your patience, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think. If it works for you, then fine, and if it doesn't, we'll have another think about it. So I'm currently working on a handful of bags that will be going up into the shop in the next week or so. I think that's it now. I've been talking for about 45 minutes. So I think it's probably time to say goodbye. As I said, I've got a day off today. I'm going to tidy up the mess that is around me from podcasting. Do you know, podcasting creates a huge mess. You need to gather so much stuff together to show. It just, when I do it, when I start, everything is neatly planned out or put into piles, and by the time I finish, it's just everywhere. I've got so much stuff on the floor, on the table here, on my desk, so it takes a little bit of time to tidy up afterwards, and then I will edit this either today or later today, either today or tomorrow, and it will be published over the weekend. And then I've got a couple of days off next week as well. It's now the school holidays, or it will be as of lunchtime today. My daughter finishes at lunchtime, so we'll be doing a few things as a family, and I'll have some sewing time. So I think I will say goodbye. Thank you ever so much for watching. As I said at the beginning, if you liked what you saw today, then it would be fantastic if you gave me the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any future episodes. And show notes will be available in a day or so over on eldenwoodcraft.co.uk. So until next time, which will probably be in about a month's time, that tends to be the schedule that I've fallen into. Have a fantastic April. If you are in the northern hemisphere, enjoy spring. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's turning into autumn now, I think, isn't it? So things will be cooling off a bit for you. But until next time, Happy knitting, happy crafting. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.